Next topic is...
Dude, we're getting our own questions.
I am. I'm looking for mine.
I'm
my
not looking for
folds.
mine. Mine's just
I'm not
coming
gonna lie.
out.
I'm looking for my folds. Our roles as individuals in a society. We kind of already covered that, but we can briefly go over it, And what I'm saying is that
What? Wait, hold on. What?
our roles as individuals in a society, this whole thing that we're disconnected as that we're individuals. In American society, we take pride in individualism more than, which is like basically what we're...
Collectivism versus individualism.
Which is communism, communityism. Thinking as a community, but that is in itself communism, which is what we have been raised to fucking, or our culture has kind of been established around kind of like villainizing. Communism is very bad. I'm not saying we should all be sharing everything we have. No. I'm saying that we need to have the mindset that we don't live alone in this world, let alone the country, let alone your city, your town, your even fucking apartment complex. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You affect your neighbor affects you, vice versa. You affect your whole country as a whole. Your decision to say, well, it's just me, isn't going to cut it, because that globalizes through every single person.
Yeah.
And what my point in the topic was to kind of make an emphasis that people need to think about that more. There's this whole thing that China and fucking Russia, their society is on the brink of collapse because they don't have the replacement generation that's going to take care of the people who will retire. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Whether because it's been imposed by, the one-child law, or because people have been dissuaded from having kids or whatever. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
We are a society that has to have generations replace.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. When you grow older, someone has to take care of you. The government has to take care of you, or whatever. You need someone to take care of you. Who is going to take care of you when you're an old dementia-ridden man? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do get that. So I have a lot of thoughts about it because I understand what you're saying. And I had one initial thought about our role as a society and us giving back in that sense, like everything I've learned, everything I've done, whatever, giving back. And I can go into that. But then I also think about what you said about communism and then living in China specifically, because as you know, I've mentioned before, I had the opportunity to go visit China.
You did, right?
Yeah, I did.
That's
and so
crazy.
When you brought that up, I was thinking, I remember bringing that up actually to someone who lived in China.
Did I mention I go to China?
Did you? I did go to the Great Wall and I walked the Great Wall, but whatever.
Did I mention that?
Did I mention that?
I might have not, but just in case.
Just in case y'all
I
did. I can speak to what you're saying because I was there.
Because I've been to China.
I've been to China. And I have one Chinese
get a
friend.
shirt?
So I know that I've been to China.
I've been to China.
Yeah. Hey, you brought it up, so I'm
Yeah.
just
No,
opening
for
up.
sure.
I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
yeah.
No, so again, I've been to China and I talked. No, I was just there and I was remembering when I brought this up because it is very, like you described it, very controlled, very, it's very controlled, and I'm like, whoa, there's lots of rules, lots of regulation,
Expectations socially.
Right. And I brought it up to someone there and I was having a really good conversation and she's like, you may see it that way, but we don't really have a problem with it. Like our government is taking care of us though. Like we don't have universal healthcare here in the United States. Like we have to pay for it and some people die and some people can't afford to go to the doctor. At least in these countries, they're at least taking their people. Like if you're sick, you can go to a clinic and get help for health from a doctor, that sort of thing. So when this person was telling me about it, I was like, oh my God, like she's like, there wasn't a lot of homeless people in China.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know what I'm saying? So I understand that there's pros and cons to it. And we may think that people are stripped from their freedom, but some people prefer the simplicity of it where they're like, they don't have to worry where their next meal is coming from, whether they're going to be able to afford to pay a copay or have health insurance. So some people are okay with that.
Yeah.
But then when you live in a capitalistic country where you want to be able to succeed and move
Everyone
up,
wants to get rich.
right?
Yeah.
There starts to be
Yeah.
a ladder, and it's like there isn't a way where like everybody can just be okay. It's always a competition of the things you have, and you want more, and you want more, and you want more. There's no cap, and yeah, maybe ambition comes from that, and that's healthy, I guess, in a
Drives
way.
yeah.
But then what about the people who like want just like a simple lifestyle and just want to live? They just want to live without having to worry about where their next meal is coming from. So those are all interesting points, and I leave that to
More specifically, what I'm referring to is that population crisis in China.
okay. And a lot of people, dude, China is huge.
No,
right?
they are. No, but you can
This
even
is
go
the-
into statistics.
No, this is what. Okay, this is what I'm. Okay, sorry. Go finish your thought, because I have a response to what you're saying.
The next amount of people who are going to retire, there is not enough working class to replace them.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. That
Yeah. No, I get that. I guess I thought you were gonna go into like the health, like the how like China, the pollution, that sort of thing.
No. That's another
Yeah.
topic.
I just want to.
saying
This
that
is a fun fact though,
Yeah.
because I learned right. No, because I learned. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
so imagine China,
Yeah.
right, to be like the size of the United States, like the 50 states. Right?
Yeah.
We take up all 50 states, and we can live in different parts of our states, right?
Yeah.
But China, imagine they live they just take up Florida, Georgia,
Yeah.
Delaware, like just one section
For sure.
of the United States, and everybody is just there.
Yeah.
And they have the rest of this land, but all the rest of the land is not livable.
I know.
There's mountains
So jungles
and jungles and
dense
stuff.
jungles,
and I'm
dense,
like,
yeah.
oh, so they're all it kind of forced to
Yeah.
be in that area because it's only that's the only
That's a whole
sustainable
other fucking
area.
topic. I mean,
That's why
I want to get into that.
there's a lot of pollution, but
Yeah.
because it's like everybody's
Yeah.
just clumped in
Much like
one
in Mexico,
section area.
you know, there's only a certain amount of livable space. Otherwise, then you're talking about getting into dense jungles, rugged terrain, you know, mountainous regions, things like that. That's the entirety of China's deposition right now. So they can't really afford to even feed their own population as far as like with their own sustenance. They're relying off of imports of like mass majority of their food sustenance is relied on imports from specifically like maybe even Russia. The United States is blessed.
I'm being mind blown right now because the United States has a huge debt to China when it comes to products,
oh yeah.
right? And you're kind of like you're saying like China has money,
Oh,
but
they
what's the
do.
point of having money if you can't supply
Yeah, they
like
have
the
capital.
food?
Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's
Someone said,
okay.
"Hey,
The
Google," or
rude
some shit.
interruption. Isn't that crazy though? That like they have money and they're producing all of like they have manufacturers and factories and all this stuff that's producing our products, but they don't have enough resources for food.
I don't know specifically. I know they have the amount of people.
You said what you said.
Yeah. What did I say?
I don't know.
I said that the food imports, like the food,
Right.
like in the United States, we actually import most of our food, but we don't need to. We live in a very, very good amount of land.
Right. We just import it because it's cheaper and people want to make more money.
That's
off
exactly the whole.
of it. Yeah.
That's
just like
true.
all of our products. Like we could
Yeah.
make stuff in the US, but businesses are greedy.
Yeah.
Business owners are greedy and they want to do that. But not only that, I think, because I'm not going to take away from people who have established a business and are getting their imports from other countries. I also know that inflation is high. So people are like, in order for me to pay the people at least that we have here,
Yeah.
we need to import this stuff because I can't match and pay someone this amount of money because in the margin in our product, we're not making any profit. So what's the point of selling it? So
Yeah.
it's a
It's a
whole thing.
delicate balance.
It's a whole
It's
delicate.
very,
I
very-
get it. Because then you're like, oh, people are left without jobs.
Yeah.
And they're taking our jobs in other countries. But
But what do you think about the generation replacement?
dude, I think about that.
In Russia and China, we have
I mean-
we have generations to replace us for the next 50 years. We're
I
fine.
No, a year. I get that, but I'm also it hits home because in our culture, when our parents get older, we take them in, we take care of
Yeah,
them. Like
you
we
have
don't
to.
put them in nursing
We
homes. Like
don't.
it's
Well,
not a thing.
ideally.
Ideally,
'Cause some people do.
No, I know that, but I'm saying it's like tabooed in our culture
Yeah.
to put your parents
In
in
Mexico, yeah, in Mexican.
it's like no,
American
we're
culture.
supposed to. Our parents took care of us,
Yeah.
so now we're supposed to take care of them.
My tío likes to go to the adult daycares, not because he needs to, because he likes to mingle.
No, I mean I get it. When you get older and we're doing our own thing, kids
Yeah.
are doing their, we're working, we're doing
Yeah.
this. I mean, my grandma lives with my mom right now, and it's a big responsibility
Yeah.
because as you get older, it's like you're taking care of someone who's young because they can't do all these things on their own. So I understand the reason why people put their family members in good
Society,
home what I just for I totally blanked out.
adult daycares,
Adult daycares. No, the other place that I just said right now where they go into
retirement homes.
retirement homes, right?
I don't think that's bad.
No. I'm not saying that's. I'm not taking away from that. But I think about what you're saying in terms of the replacement part because are you saying financially though, or
No,
you're
like
saying
the amount of people? There's not enough people. Like let's put it into super simple terms. 100 people are going to turn.
Yeah, that they're gonna die off, and who's gonna? But are you
Not
saying
die off. They're going to retire because they can't work because they're too old. There's a good portion of our life that we're not.
So between like the 55 and like
maybe
65,
65
70,
and higher,
Okay.
you start retiring.
Right.
100 of those people, but then 30 only or 40 only are replacing those people who are working.
Right.
So all of a sudden, the demand for work goes up, but there's not enough people to fill.
You don't think? Okay.
So there's the cost of work is more expensive. Everything becomes more expensive. The 100 people who retired can't afford to be taken care of, and there's not enough people to even take care of them. So what happens to those people?
I understand your point there,
And you talk about a massive scale.
Right. No, I get that. I'm not even equipped to talk about it in terms of knowledge. I'm just thinking of it. How do I relate to what you're saying? And I'm thinking about when I go to the grocery store, when I go to a neighborhood Walmart, there's probably like one cashier, two cashiers working, and the rest of the aisles.
Yeah, automation helps a lot.
Are self-checkout.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is like there isn't, when it comes to those types of jobs, that's what I'm saying. Like those, I'm like,
No,
we have self-checkouts. Like we don't need people. Like we're being replaced by machines.
Yes, jobs, dude. But I'm talking about like in people terms. Like I'm talking about
continue like the
society,
the site because
at the moment
because of the one child policy. But
not even, it wasn't because of that. It's a lot.
Well, because maybe they don't have more kids like than we're having. We're popping kids out like crazy right now.
We're less, actually, not as much.
Not
And
as much,
again, it goes back into, it goes, first of all, it goes because of, the one child policy really did it for them. But you're talking about, again, industrialization, globalization. That's a very heavy impact on the world. You went from taking people on farmlands, the vast majority of people living on farmlands, to putting them into residential areas, apartment complexes, very cramped spaces because it was closer to the city, closer to working areas, right, that they can get jobs in. The problem was that now you're talking about having kids, right? Those people with kids living in the farmlands, it was almost an investment. The more kids you had, the more free labor you had, the more people you had to pass on responsibility to. So it was almost incentivized naturally to have more children, right? Move that, go on to the other side where each kid you had was an investment, a huge chunk of your change, even almost a nuisance to your living style because you don't have the space and you have to take, it's not like free work. You don't have that free work.
Right. Give me an example though of what could be a consequence of the replacement part, like what, because I'm like, okay, cool, people are not having kids anymore like that much and the replacement part, but like what you're saying that it's going to be more more strain on those 40 people on that 40, like on the percent of
there's
people.
No one's going to be able to fill in the jobs required to keep society functioning. Whether it's feeding them, there's going to be, it happened in 2017, dude, in Venezuela, the mass starvation or whatever. Venezuela does not have the capability to feed their own population, much like many countries in the world, because they rely on imports, exports, whatever. It's a bunch of shit. What I'm saying is that because they don't have the ability to feed their own kids, anything like an earthquake that causes infrastructural
shake or like a disturbance, right,
causes a mass immediate recourse. In this recourse, biblical plague, You know, in that level, massive famine. A lot of people died just because they could not eat.
Right. No, I mean, it's a serious issue, and I mean, thank you for educating me on all of that. But
What
it's
I'm
like,
just
I don't
saying is
have
that
the
we
answer.
have to have. I'm not saying the answer.
Yeah, no,
I'm
I
making
know
the
that, but I'm
point
just
that we have a duty to society and the future. We can't
to
think,
take care of other
to
like
take.
right.
We're not living on our own because people will have to think about us in the future.
That's why I always go back to how I think that we take for granted our situations. Like sometimes we think we have it bad,
Yeah.
but if you think about what other people are going through in other countries
Yeah.
and other situations, dude, like
Oh
not being
yeah.
able to
No.
know where
The
your
United
next
States is blessed. It's fucking blessed. That's what I'm saying.
yeah, and that's what something that the pastor said this past weekend was saying like, oh, you think that you don't make enough or like your income and like that you feel like you're in the bottom tier. You're compared to what you make in other countries,
yeah.
you're considered the 1%. So I'm
Dude,
very
and it's not-
conscious of
it's-
my
It's
surroundings
not
and
even
my
about money. It's more
resources, right?
about. It's just the United States, the geographical position we have over the world.
Oh, that
Just
makes
the
yeah.
land.
I get yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not how much people or the fact that we're prideful. Fucking no. We live on fucking golden land because of one. Not to mention, we
Yeah.
have a shitload of land that immediately is a port. First of all,
Oh yeah.
ocean border.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if I think there's like a fact about like we have more ocean border than a certain collection of countries or a collection of countries.
Why is that important? You're hitting good points, but why is that important though?
Because you have access to I mean, anyone who controls the
Oh.
seas has access to shipping trades and
Got
whatever
it.
social
Okay. Exports and imports.
imports, whatever. Not to mention that the rivers, the vast connection of rivers that we have in the United States itself.
Do
Do you know how
didn't think about it.
expensive it is to transport specific amounts of quantities of goods on land versus sea?
You don't, but I have a feeling you're about to tell me.
No, it's exponential. Like I'm talking about for
Wait, so what is it? Are you saying what's better though? Like sea import?
sea, yeah,
or-
that's what I'm
oh,
saying.
'cause
The
it's easy-
importance of the rivers systems that we have, the fact that we have vertical rivers going to and from the inland all the way to the ocean with no problem, so we can get shit done easy, quick, no problem. Not to mention like places like China, Russia, or England or whatever, they don't have fucking rivers to do anything. You know what I'm saying? The fact that a shit ton of
So you're saying here in the U.S. though, that's leverage, like people, like that's actually happening, like other than trains and 18-wheelers exporting stuff, we're utilizing our rivers
the
to
rivers is
transport
the
stuff.
number one, yeah. That's
Really?
the number one. I
People
think
still relying on
in
boats.
New Orleans,
business-
the hub, it's the cheapest thing. That's why to transport, you can transport for the cost of I think 18 trucks or trailers. You get like 300 or 700
Oh, in containers.
and shipping containers.
Oh,
That is the vast majority of trade, and that's why it's so cheap and faster. Not to mention,
Okay, speaking of exports and imports, we live in a border town
yeah,
with Mexico.
So,
And I had no idea how much money
oh yeah,
was, and I don't mean just money, I mean like in terms of goods
yes,
being imported and exported in our borders. And we have like what, 3-4 borders
we have a lot of
that connect
intersections,
to
yeah,
Mexico?
for sure. Not to mention the fact that we incentivize a lot of those workers to come over here and work with us immediately in those border trends. That's why there's a lot of like urbanization right along the border on the other side of the Mexico border.
Mm-hmm.
That's where there's heavy
Yeah,
urbanization.
maquiladoras.
Yeah, because they immediately go to work and then they come back. So
Right.
we exploit that cheap labor. They exploit the higher wages compared to their country, and it's kind of a mutual agreement. But again, another reason why the United States is in a badass amount. Here's something very interesting that you're gonna like. Mexican labor,
Uh-huh.
it's somewhere around this number, if not more. It's not less, it's more. Is twice as skilled as Chinese labor
Mm-hmm.
and half the cost.
Okay, so did you say in terms of skill level, what did you say? It's the same or more?
No. Twice as skilled as Chinese labor
Okay.
and half the cost.
Ooh, okay, you're making me do math, and I'm getting it. No, I get it. You're saying that the labor is twice as good,
In Mexico,
but half
engineers
of the work.
type.
You're saying that that Mexican people are getting paid less than Chinese people, and the
they
the quality is more.
The quality of work is twice as good.
That's a very
Whether that's fair or not, it's
statement.
irrelevant.
No. I'm saying it's a statement
Or
you're
you could
making.
Google it.
But it's like, wait,
Or even more. It might be more.
No. Okay, so no. What I'm trying to get at is like, okay, maybe let's say you're right. Let's break it down. Let's say why, because I could see why it maybe makes sense in terms of this. I don't want to compare cultures and say why is skilled, but what do you mean by the skill? Like what
the quality and skill.
But why? In terms of like labor stuff, or because they have access to more?
No, not access,
experience?
just experience,
but
professionalism. Like as far as like quality and work.
When you say Mexican labor, like what tier are you talking about? Like
maybe
professional
engineers.
Education, or you're talking about labor?
No,
You're talking about education,
yeah.
like more high level things versus
engineering.
Labor. Okay, because I was like labor. I was like, I want to say that both cultures are pretty like strong working. Yeah. No, you're saying level of education, which makes sense because a lot of people from China send their kids to schools here, and then they go back and they do that, right? No, so that I could see. Because I'm trying to understand where you're coming from in terms of that statement, because it could be true, but I also want to break it down in terms of, okay, that makes sense because we have access to education in a different
Mexico,
way.
Not us.
Wait, yeah, no. Well, so you're saying, but okay, because I'm trying to understand
Let's just
that.
Dumb it down to engineers. Mexican engineers are twice as skilled as Chinese engineers.
But that's okay, but
and charge half as much.
I know. I'm understanding it now. No, I get it. But I'm saying why engineering is engineering. You learn it.
Well, there's a good engineer and there's a bad engineer.
How? If they got the same level of education of engineering.
Just like there's a good barber and a bad barber. They could cut your hair, but someone could do it better.
But why are you? But that's like okay, I know. But if you're, let's say a Chinese person and a Mexican person went to the same school of engineering.
No.
Let's just say they did.
Well, then it wouldn't count because.
But okay, why are you saying that like the education in Mexico to be an engineer is better than an education in China to be an engineer?
That's what's understood as in the engineering society, as far as like that population.
Yeah, because that's an interesting thing. If you were,
now, I've seen people specifically comment on YouTube videos saying they've worked with Asian engineers, and a lot of the work is as not comparable to the Mexican counterpart.
But I don't know, because I will say that Mexicans and Chinese people, they're like very. Mathematics is like it's something that at a young age
they're
both
smart.
Cultures are their families really invest in that. Like it's very because I know
they're very smart.
I know both cultures, like not saying that it's a general, I'm just saying their strengths are in numbers sometimes. I feel like we've discussed that before, and I'm not saying just because you are that they're good. Anybody can be good at multiple subjects and all of that. I'm just saying there is a concentration, I feel like, in the mathematics sometimes. But I don't know. I would have to disagree a little bit with what you're saying, because I don't know. I would need to see proof, because I don't know. I
would bring it up, but it would take more time.
No, I'm not saying you have to bring it up. I'm just going to challenge that.
To hire more intelligent semiconductors than even China does.
But you're saying but you're talking about Mexican people. Yeah,
Mexican. I'm saying that's
people from Mexico. Yeah, not Mexico. Not people who are Mexican that are Mexican American.
Which is why I'm highlighting that the United States also has that as a buff, because the fact that we're border with Canada and Mexico is that we're exploiting.
I just can't believe also you're saying that Mexican people get paid less than people in China. I feel like no, but more of the imports come from China. Products come from China. More people.
I'm talking about the specific job, not like in general terms. I'm not sure about the number.
Because I feel like the exploitation happens more in China in terms of like the factory jobs and products,
maybe,
and that they get paid less than someone.
Too, but I'm not talking about like a general worker.
Okay.
I'm talking about more like an engineer.
Okay, right, exactly.
Civil engineer or someone who is in like the semiconductor industry or things like that.
Okay.
In that, like a more technical aspect.
I get. No, I can get.
What would you call those jobs? I know there's specific type of jobs.
I don't. Yeah, no, I'm not too sure. But I was just. I'm not challenging the way that I'm saying you're wrong. I was just like, I'm seeking to understand.
Yeah,
that.
I can.
No, you don't got to pull it up right now. No, no, I'm not saying. I will discuss it
No,
later. But I was
it
just
is
like,
something
okay, I'm
that
trying to
we have
understand.
more skilled labor in Mexico
Okay.
than China.
Okay.
Skilled labor, and it's cheaper also.
Okay. I could imagine what you're saying if you were saying like, oh, the training and we have more people that get skilled faster, like the ratio, like let's say for every one person engineer that they have, we have 3. And so that's why the work is more efficient. Like then I would see that makes sense.
I don't know if that's
Like the ratio, if there
No,
was a
no.
higher ratio, but if you're saying like if you're comparing 1 to 1,
1-to-1
I
specifically.
don't know. To me that's like not fair. It's not fair. I don't know. It's just
But
like
it's just general consensus. It's just a general consensus.
right.
Now, whether you agree with it, it's a whole different thing. But
Not
going
that
back
if
to,
it's true
Yeah.
and it's fact,
it's
then
surprising,
I get
right?
it. But
like
it's
that,
just like
that
makes me think.
Mexican skilled labor is very good. It's
I'm
surprising.
not surprised that it's a Mexican. No, I'm more saying like in general, like how can
When you're
you compare
comparing it to
people
China.
and culture? Not even to China. Like I don't know. Like it's not fair to compare any culture to another culture in terms of people being more skilled. Like unless you're comparing education, like where they're getting it
Yeah.
from. But I don't know. It's just weird to say.
It's
Like
just it's just facts. Like whether you like the generalization of the vast majority. I mean, these are just statistics.
it's because you could learn, and I've met people that are successful people in whatever industry they're in,
Mm-hmm.
and some culture, like the person's ethnicity and race, has nothing to do with it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, that's what I'm trying to get. I think I'm
Yeah.
just trying to go to the.
I'm
root
talking
of
about
it.
statistics, bro. Not like the vast majority.
Well, it's because you're saying like a Mexican person and like a Chinese person. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't.
Mexican labor versus Chinese labor, skilled labor, and
Skilled
how
labor.
much, generally speaking, the cost is. Just
Okay.
like we can generalize the medium cost of an average home in China versus a medium cost of an average home in the United States. That's
Yeah.
not because we're stereotyping as far
Right.
as like why do these two different cultures get different prices. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe it's because of the culture they're residing in, or even the geographical position their country resides in might have to do with something like that, or maybe their historical upbringing might have to do with something like that. That's a whole other kind of like
I
rabbit
get where
hole.
you're going.